From health issues last year to the naval hospital controversy to what's going on the southern end of North Charleston, I sat down one-on-one with longtime North Charleston City Council member Michael Brown Sr. for a special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. And listen to this interview later on iHeartRadio. Michael Brown Sr., it is so good to meet you.
See this, sir.
I really, really appreciate this. We are sitting here at North Charleston City Hall in North Charleston, and I know that you've been a long-time councilman for your particular district.
Yes.
But first, I want to talk to you about you. Obviously, you've had some health issues over the past year, and I know that just off camera, you basically said, hey, this was a testing of your faith.
Yes.
Did you pass that?
I think the faith, I passed it, and also it grown even much more. So it gave me a new lease on life, I would say, and when we look at it, I think it was a gift. With the gift, with tests, and you can live on all those promises that he made to you. You can say, I understand them a whole lot better. You know, you can hear from somebody else, but to experience them, you understand them even much more. So that's why I'm at in this life here.
You talk about hearing, obviously from God, and I know maybe a week or two ago, obviously North Charleston Mayor Quintin held his State of the City address. What rang a bell about your district from his mayoral address?
From his mayoral address that I find is focused in the most southern part of it, he specifically spoke on the area near Shipwatch Square, the Naval Hospital.
Right.
He spoke on the work that's taking place on Reynolds Avenue. Metanoia, he spoke of Low Country Alliance for Model Community. Those things are so specific and dear to me on scenic growth. I grew up on Union Heights.
Right.
I stay in Academy.
Yeah.
So those are home for me. It was the part of going through Shikori Elementary.
Right.
It was also the part of going to Mary Ford.
Right.
To freedom of choice, I went to Shikori. That was from 65 to 68. Then back to Von Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
Then back to Shikori. So I graduated from Shikori High in 73. So I was in that area for quite some time, knowing the people, knowing when the base was up and running, knowing when there was quite a bit of business area, quite a bit of people moving through. So you want to see that happen again, and that's where my heart is, making sure it happens. I got to say, during the years of being on council, there were some things that took place. Here we got State Port Authority.
Right.
And with the State Port Authority comes highways, and with them come rails. So now you're trying to figure out how do that business survive, but also taking respect that here's a community that's been here for quite a long time. How do they take advantage of what's there? And I think that's where we are right now. But protecting those communities, that's big. And that's why I got to say it's help for received over the years from specifically Low Country Alliance and the community itself on making sure that we hold tight on some of the things that we want for the communities and mitigate for some of it. And I think that's where we are right now.
You talk about the Shipwatch Square. You talk about the Naval Hospital,
Yes.
Metanoia, and of course the Port Authority. When you go into that community, what else are you listening from the residents, your constituents?
Yeah, that is the part that I would like to see much more of. Having meetings second Tuesday in Union Heights, third Tuesday Academy, fourth Monday Shikori Cherokee, which Murray Hill is second Monday. Second Tuesday is Dorchester Terrace.
Right.
What I'm looking for from my constituents of the area is being more involved. When I say more involved, take the time out to voice some of the concerns, but take the time out to be actively working on addressing some of the problems in the area. Remember, you elect me, you elect your House of Representatives, you elect your state senator, but most can get done when the people unite together and push for what they want. Remember, we only have one vote we can stay and push as much as we want as that one vote, but you need the help of the people to make it work. So when you're saying you're listening for people, most of the response I get is from people at the community meetings.
Right.
And that's what I hear a lot about. There's some great things that are happening, but even with those great things that are happening, when I speak of that, it's those development we're speaking about on that's taking place even right now. There's more that I would love to see within my communities and the people of the community. When we're speaking about housing pricing, affordable housing, you're seeing the push on housing prices within the city of Charleston, even around the surrounding area on how it's going up. And it will go up in those areas. I'm seeing houses that you'd be very surprised on what the asking price are these days. So that's telling me the trend is happening, and it's happening in those areas. But what has happened over the years, Mr. Washington, in its specific some of the communities, is that a lot of times folks move out. They retain and hold those properties. They hold those properties and they rent them out. And those properties be rental until someone comes back and says, okay, your property value is worth X amount of dollars. And they'll pay you for it.
Right.
So you take that money and left. Now you're the investor. You came in and you already invested in the area. You fix up a little bit, you improve. You're not going to keep the rent the same. It's going to go up. And that's the thing that I see is going to happen within our community. So somehow we got to figure out how do the folks within those communities have a sense of desire to truly be homeowners. Because if not, you can only, this is just plain sign of the time of what happened through economics. Things will go up and change. And I've seen that it's about to take place within those areas.
What is that desire that people want right now, besides just owning a house?
I think even though we mentioned that, but it's more to it than just that. You got to think about economics. What type of employment do I have? And with that employment, you got to think about what do I have to offer someone who's for that livable job you're wanting. So when you ask that question, it's going to be the point of preparing yourself for the things that you desire. When I say that, if I want to be making X amount of dollars an hour, then I got to figure out what job it is that I want. On how do I prepare myself for that? So those are some of the things I see that our communities or our mindset needs to be changing. And maybe I'm 64. I can remember a time I could say, well, 20 years from now, I want to be doing something, doing this or that. 20 years from now, yeah, I would love to be doing something, but I got to be real with myself. I'd be a little bit older. And so I'm looking for the next younger generation to start seeing being inspired to some of the things that they would love to see much more, but working towards it. That's my thoughts.
Let me back up. I forgot to ask you this. And obviously in the interviews that I've done with a lot of people for Quintin's close-ups, they're obviously talking about affordable housing and this workforce housing.
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you use and why?
Well, workforce housing and affordable housing, I think they can be two different. When you speak about affordable housing, you say, well, affordable housing usually is about 30% of your income. And when we look at what's going on right now, when you speak about what is median base income for the Charleston surrounding community, it probably says median income is somewhere right around possibly about $40,000 or $50,000. That's what it probably would say. Now, when we speak about workforce housing, you're talking about quite a bit much less. Okay. And then you speak about what workforce housing you're speaking about, because you can say police are workforces, school teachers. What about hotel workers? So we put it out, but it hasn't been truly defined. And I think that's the point that we need to look at on when we create these housing. How do we work it where that everyone can have an opportunity to come back and live in somewhere that's decent and paying some type of livable wage for housing? I think that's the issue that we're looking at.
That brings me to my next question. What is the quality like here in North Charleston as we sit here right now?
I think it's good. When you see about that, you're saying, what? It's good, but it could be better. When I say that, folks have said, well, the quality of life, when I look at life, I guess everybody was looking at what are we doing right now? And is that quality of life is only specifically designed for the city of North Charleston? What about our school system within our city of North Charleston? When I speak about that, we'll look at what about our police force? What about our fires and assistance in those? I think what our public works, I think we provide a great resource when I speak about our community. But I think there's more that can be done. Even when you start to speak about the school and school system, when you start to look at it, all the schools that are in my district, they're failing schools. So how do we improve on that? There's one thing that a lot of people would shy away from. A lot of times we put our problems on others. When I say that, I spoke of me coming up and just, and in my prayer, I'd be thankful for my mom and dad. But also I'm thankful for those folks who were surrounding me outside of the family and the communities, because there was encouragement there. There was folks leading you, pushing you for the direction for you to be better. And when I start to go through my communities in the southern part and on District 10, I don't see as much as I did when I was coming up. So that's why I'm saying when we speak about quality of life, where do it begins? And I think it begins at home. Those are some of the things that you should be touching on, your family life, family structure. Don't get me wrong, when I got married in 1979, it wasn't that I was such an eager part to get married, but I know I had to accept a role and responsibility that I was going to be there for my family and wife who I love and provide for them. I had to be the breadwinner. No matter what, I'm going to have to be the one who provided for them. So that's the role that I see and accepted more of we as men. Okay. And that is being, when I look at my community, we can do a whole lot better.
Let me take you back down to the southern end. Obviously, there's a lot of issues on the table as we sit here right now.
Okay.
The Naval Hospital, food desert. Where are you in these discussions?
Thank you. Last council meeting, ULI. There's money from the county, money from the city,
right,
and money from Coastal Conservation League.
Right.
What they're going to do is do a study, and that in the area of McMillan Avenue, which you have the hospital, right, Shipwise Square, right, and Kmart, right, which they're supposed to be. And also you have that little shopping center on McMillan also that's not in use. So here's a great opportunity where you can put minds together and saying, how do you develop that corridor? And how do you possibly come back within somewhere of housing? And with that housing, what can be developed, even when you speak about a grocery store within that area. So I think the mindset is there for it to happen. But even waiting on that to happen, there's a lot of other good things. Even within our district, I'm not sure if you've met and talked to Jermaine Jenkins.
Oh yeah, a couple of weeks ago, right before Thanksgiving for Quintin's School Subs.
Yes. And the work that she's doing there at Fresh Future Farms. Those are some of the things that I could say, well, maybe it's not the large store, but it's there. Save a Lot. I think it was, we're trying to get that back, was Reverend Stanfield, Bill Stanfield and I. We went out of town and touched base with Save a Lot. Our whole idea was to try to bring them back in the Shipwatch Square before it got torn down. They had a great desire to come. But after CVS closed on Durant,
Oh, yeah.
that's where they saw the building at, and they came there and they located there. It seemed like they're doing well at that spot.
Oh, yeah.
But remember, the city have offered to any business who coming in stores up to $1 million of loss that they would pay for, and they wouldn't come. So that's, you're putting out to stores, and they're looking at demographics of what's there, and they're not biting on it. So you look and say, maybe with ULI, maybe they can add some more to it. Maybe they'll do something, bring in investors within our area, and maybe it'll help out. So that's what.
And the Naval Hospital, who should take this blame?
Well, I hate to say a blame, but it is what it is. And it's county. It's not the city. The city sold it, and once we sold it, we were out of the picture.
Right.
So it's all on the county and what happened on there. They had to follow through the lawsuit, which lost money, but it's on them. It's not ours, but it's in our district. So now we got to figure out how can we make the best out of what happened.
And let me get back to you. Obviously, you talk a lot about the younger generation
Yes.
during this particular interview. I don't know if I'm being optimistic, but let me ask you this. Who are you grooming to take over you to be the next Michael Brown Sr.?
I'm waiting on that person to come about. I haven't seen it, just like the same slow participation within our communities. Somehow it's going to rise. When I started, it was helping others. It was an older guy doing communities, picking up trash, what I still do today. Just making sure that where I live was representative, showing your part that you care. Mr. Oliver Perry, and then he wanted me to be president of the community. And my point was to see him, Mr. Perry, I'd be happy, but I'm going to wait for my son to finish high school. In other words, my point was particularly devoted to them in basketball, football, and grilling out for the football team and these things, and making sure you're there providing for your kids and the other kids around. It's taught me a whole lot. But also was helping Miss Gussie Green, because one of the key parts that I've heard in the movement before coming to council was a lot of people saying what Miss Gussie wasn't doing. Mm-hmm. And you listen well and you ask them, well, what can you do to help her? But you didn't get too much response there. It was understanding where Miss Gussie was. She's one person in one vote, same way I am right now. I can't change the whole community. It takes for the folks within inside to help me push this about. So I have spread myself throughout that whole district. So, but if you have people within there would help, then much better will be. The grooming part that you spoke of, I would love seeing some folks that come about. They look eager, but one thing you hear from them is, no, I don't want to do it. But then eventually they'll start doing things, and I think eventually it'll come to it. And a lot of times people shy away, and then they'll eventually find interest, much more interest as time goes on.
Energy. I know you've had some health issues, but where is your energy when it comes to the future of being on North Charleston City Council?
I always was energy or energetic. This part that just happened with me, it's part of renewing my faith, building my faith. It just giving me another part to look on when you're much younger. And the old folks said there will always be problems. When you're much younger, what are you talking about? So now you understand. If it's not in this fold, it's in another fold because you want better. And with that better, it's not just going to come easy, it's going to come as an opposition. Being energetic, I think it's part that I'm going to continue to go out, continue to move forward, continue to look at ways on how I can improve my district, continue to voice where I can have other folks to think about how they can be involved even much more in helping, because there's one thing that I find out in my dealing with a lot of people, that we see issues and problems, But one thing we fail to do sometime is figure out solutions, reasonable solutions, and being a part of helping to bring those solutions about. I think that's where we need to be even much more when we start to think about our communities and community growth, kids, youth, our community, our next generation, we as men. Sure, there's a problem, but what can we do to help? What are solutions for true solutions that you're willing to work on, not give up? And I think that's where I'm at right now. Continue to work until I don't have that in me anymore. Don't tell me when that's going to be.
We pray to God you live a long time.
Yes.
Yes. Well, the Honorable Michael Brown Sr., thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this.
I thank you, sir. I really do.
Anytime.
I thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, sir.